Hi, I've been asked to come and talk about mindfulness and swimming, and I'm going to include some poetry because poetry kind of sums up mindfulness in as good a way as any. Swimming is my lifesaver, one of my main meditation and mindfulness activities as well. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in any given moment, which is almost impossible state to achieve for most people most of the time, including myself, even though I've been trying to do it for over 30 years. We usually manage a few breaths in yoga or meditation practice, but to actually keep the mind solid is difficult on its own. So swimming allows you to take that into an activity which gives you a context and makes it more accessible. And I teach especially with people with neurodivergency and trauma, like myself. I have ADHD and complex trauma and PTSD, although that's fading now. But bringing mindfulness into our daily lives, into our daily activities, actually improves the quality of those experiences as well as improving our mental health. I swim because I love it. I always have done. And nowadays I have arthritis in my spine and my right knee and my right ankle, and some of my fingers are starting to go, so I can't knit for hours like I used to. But the combination of swimming and swimming mindfully, practicing mindfulness with the swimming, means that I'm combining my mind and my body. So it's a very holistic experience. And I've got a poem here that tries to explain or show you what that feels like. Talking about swimming, this is cold swimming. It's cold, so cold on skin warmed by sun, so cold and yet. I step into the silky foaming water, not cold enough, still too much sun, though dusk comes earlier now. The body adjusts quickly, cold becomes warm still, too warm for the time of year, for freezing my skin, too warm for numbing my pain, for shrinking the older age, driving me to seek relief. As I slide under, my skin feels tight, my body weightless, movement painless. I move arms and legs in unison, a well-rehearsed dance, a delight, my frog stroke. I watch the waves at eye level, an occasional gull floating past me. Black mirror eyes watch me with curiosity, keeping their distance, exploring this intruder. Across the bay, back again, over once more. It's never long enough. I want to be a mermaid, a selkie dwelling in the watery bliss forever. If I stay too long, I will perish, fall asleep. I swim back to sand, stones, the gentle rhythm around my ankles, and wave to my beloved one. I dress. Sand sticks to my skin inside my sandals, skin rasps away, body glowing, and then I feel it, the after drop. That fascinating moment when the cold blood from the surface reaches inner body, warm blood at the surface, cold, deeply within you. No dull aches, no sharp pain, exhilaration and oxytocin mingle. So it can be quite addictive, swimming, and the cold water swimming especially, because of that cold water oxytocin release, but it is absolutely delicious and it is pain-free, and I can be pain-free for a number of hours and sometimes a couple of days after each really cold water swim. I try to swim all year round, but I do keep a subscription going here because not always the weather is conducive and I can't always get into the water at the time of day. It's safer to swim here rather than swim in the sea on my own sometimes as well. If there's no one to go swimming with, if you're in the sea, it's best to have a pair of eyes on the beach or certainly in the water with you. Some people think it's just too cold to swim off the coast of Britain, but I don't agree. I think it's wonderful, and anything that's cold is actually going to be more beneficial for you mentally than the warm sea. It's comfortable, but it's not as good for you. Nevertheless, having said that, I've written a poem about August sea bathing. I have a whole folder of poems about the sea. I've just picked out a few. Sky still clear, bright, though early evening drifts along, cooling everything. A personal air conditioning with no carbon emissions. Muscles strain against the tides, swimming, spinning, kicking for fun, splashing water, then gliding, smooth as a seal, into the next wave. Floating on the slow rise and fall, the departing tide drifts me deeper. I pull back into safe waters, seeking soft sand beneath toes, enough to know I'm within limits. I wade in slightly, letting waves wash over, feeling salty seawater mingle with salty sweat, cleaning skin, yet not. It is a ploy, a joy, a deep communion with life. This swim tonight, other people do not exist for me in this timeless moment. I am alone and free, floating in a space of infinite proportions, feeling my smallness and yet belonging. I am part of it all. I always was. Letting go, allowing waves to take me, as life will anyway, yet. Still I hold on to human safety, measured by my own mind, its desire to continue in its own image, this separate single being. Tonight I feel the pull of the waves, a lightness of being, a desire to let go of all, of uniqueness, of everything, to merge with oneness, a wave on the ocean. Then I am free once more. So swimming gives you an experience, and mindfulness rather gives you an experience of non-being, of experience of not having to focus on yourself, of just being at one with where you are. And because swimming is a very immersive experience, you are immersed in the water after all, that immersion allows you to immerse yourself in the experience, the total experience of your body, and focus your mind and let go of all your thoughts, all your feelings, and just be with the water and with your body moving through it in whatever way that occurs. Then there is the joy of swimming in moonlight. That's a wonderful thing. The term lunatic originally meant people who respond to the moon. So I must be a genuine lunatic because I love swimming on a full moon. And some of these are the best swims ever in September and October when it's dark early enough to see the full moon. And I've got another poem here. She is harvest moon hanging low in the newly descending darkness. Clouds slink past like veils attempting to cover her modesty. She is not obscured, not in this, her moment of brilliance. She is made more seductive, her awakening, her fullness and beauty. We are 7 small, worshipful lunatic humans, insignificant in the vastness of nature, though to each other essential collaborators. Strangers in the night, gods of moon and oceans, charged with safeguarding one another, wild, free and vulnerable. Some already acquainted, others unknown, we make our way down the chined footpath, seeking out uneven features, stumbling across the mouth of the beach below, waiting for eyes too accustomed to darkness to see as night creatures. We swim tonight in the calm moonlit ocean, water soft as silk. Let the cool waves chill us with each approach, swim against the swell. To keep warm, swim out a little, aware of the depths, her impartiality to our existence, her capricious nature one knows so well. Watching the path of the moon on water far away from our safety parameters, what other creatures are swimming under this bounteous moon? Who else is out here celebrating her brief presence? This giant, glorious, heavenly body will wane again so soon. And really swimming at night is actually a glorious experience in the moonlight. It is quite an interesting one as well, but you do have to be very careful and make sure you always go with at least a group of people so somebody can help you out if you get stuck. Not that swimming is a dangerous thing, but it can be if you're not careful. So all of these experiences I've been sharing with you through my poems and I'm talking about, they're all mindful in as much as I'm fully present when I'm with them, when I'm there. But the action of swimming itself, when I'm alone in the pool, in the water especially in the pool, not socialising, it's the experience of losing yourself into the water. So there's just the experience, no I, no separate water, just the oneness with the water and a sense of whole being, everything, pure being. So what does mindfulness feel like if you achieve this state? Well, it's peacefulness, it's pure peacefulness really. It's a strong and confident feeling with having no issues, no complications. It allows you a clarity of understanding about this life, about your own place in this life, about what's you and what's not you, what's other people. It's a deep awareness of all that's around you. So you can lose the burden of self and self-consciousness and just become one with your life. Swimming is a very good example of this, but it's not the whole of your life. So if you practice mindful swimming, you can take that experience of being mindful into the rest of your life, and it is very liberating. You're free from judgments and criticisms of your own mind, which is one of the hardest things to overcome, and also from the others who hold such mindsets. It's a relationship with your body that is positive, caring, nurturing, accepting and loving, and with who you are, your personality, your complexes, your challenges, shall we say, mine with ADHD and with complex trauma and PTSD have been quite challenging, but I accept them and realise that they have benefits as well. Swimming also helps me with them both. Swimming enhances the state of mindfulness. And if you watch a very young child, this is a natural state for humans. If you watch a very young child, they're very mindful, they're very absorbed and at one with what they're doing. And sometimes they can get quite distressed if you try and pull them out of that activity when they're not ready to come. And in effect, what we do is we take this mindfulness away from children through the way we teach them in schools, through the way we break up their attention, through the way we tell them you've got to do this and this and this. And by getting them to fit in with what adults think is a productive life, we actually break that skill of mindfulness, and reclaiming it for ourselves is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, and reclaiming it and allowing children to keep it and to promote it for them so they can learn how to actually manage it rather than just naturally be that way, is also one of the greatest gifts we can give them. So I think personally mindfulness should be taught in all schools as probably the most important subject on the curriculum, but there you go. For me, swimming enhances the experience of mindfulness. In the moment of swimming, there is joy, there is peace. And also, if you think about it, that's true of many moments in the day, but you have to think about it and notice them, because mindfulness, you can have a boring moment is not a bad moment. It's actually a good moment, because it means nothing critical is happening. There's no crisis to manage. There's no problems to solve. So you can actually be in that moment and enjoy it. And mindfulness allows us to be aware of all those moments and to celebrate them rather than to take them for granted, ignore them, not even notice them, and even perhaps think negatively of them because we think they're boring because nothing exciting is happening. Whereas in fact it's a moment for us to collect ourselves, to be calm, to be comfortable. When swimming, again, it's the relationship between mind and body. When swimming, I'm very aware of my muscles pulling against the water, propelling me forward. I notice every little momentum forward. But swimming can be a competition, and it can be a challenge, and that's okay in its own right. But if you want to swim mindfully, you get rid of all competition, all sense of right and wrong. There's no trying, there's no speed testing. There's just you and the water and you moving through it. So you can go slowly, you can go quickly. I'm at the moment trying to build up my stamina to try and do a Solent swim before I hit 70, which is, I've got to do it next year because that'll be my last opportunity. Whether I get there or not, I don't know, but at the moment I'm enjoying feeling my muscles gaining strength. So although I'm giving myself a little bit of challenge, I'm still doing it mindfully. I'm not going, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, If I get to the point where I'm fit enough to do the Solent swim, then that'll be fine. If I don't, I'll accept it, it's not a problem. And that's the thing really, there's no ulterior motive ultimately other than to feel my body growing in strength, which is essential as you get older, but also without the stress injuries of other kinds of exercise. So building strength and stamina while still being in this delicious relationship with the water. Now another thing about mindfulness is that it makes you responsible. So you become aware and you become more peaceful, but you become responsible, or you become aware of what you're responsible for. You're responsible for your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, but you're not responsible for other people. You can't fix them, you can't change them, you can't sort them out. You can only sort yourself out, but by sorting yourself out, you can influence other people in very positive ways. And it's important to remember this, because quite often we take on the burden of, I've got to sort this out for this person, I've got to do this for that. And actually, no, you do it for yourself. But what comes with that freedom is the responsibility that you are responsible for the outcomes of what you say and think and feel and do. And so we try to be aware. Now, one of the responsibilities that fits in with swimming is what we do to our water. So mindfulness brings my attention now back to the idea of pollution. We're damaging our waterways horrendously badly in this country at the moment. Politics is enabling this. Money is enabling this. Most of the swimmers are trying to protest against it. But mindfulness tells us that we have to really take responsibility for the bit that we contribute. We can't stop the rest of the world. We can't stop other people. But what we can do is be responsible for our contributions to that crisis. So we can be aware of what we do, how we live, how we add to those problems of environmental collapse and climate change. And I wrote a poem about that. It's called Plastic Tides. Occasionally I work at Key Arts putting up exhibitions, and I wrote this a couple of years ago, and there was a summer exhibition, and there was an exhibit that particularly struck me. So it's called Plastic Tides. At a summer art show, a plastic bottle covered in string holds onto its mount, silent, yet speaking as it hangs next to portrayals of pristine seas, art imitating reality. Our local beaches, debris, discarded bottles, these same bottles used as statements for art, scatter and gather among seaweed. Pebbles whisper goodbye with each wash of the tide, but these bottles never wave. We are killing our home. On an island, dedicated and determined groups, Sunday morning litter pickers, walk with sacks, eyes downcast, speaking sorrow and searching, litter picking, the bottles, the incidental art of the beach. In the local supermarket, rows and rows of plastic covers contain food. Convenient, hygienic, safe to eat food. They always shout from their packages, never toxic, never pure poison, never say pure death to us all, two humans all. At home as we sip in bed as we sip our morning tea, my husband reads news of people making their mark. Headlines say, business as usual. Applaud entrepreneurs, accolades abound. Myopic measures of profitable success. We are killing our home. Our living, breathing, our bounteous home. I want this headline. I want it in large font, black, bold, unmistakable. Can we speak it into the ending fast enough? Rouse the sleepwalkers, say new values quickly. Urgent, no time to waste. We are killing our home. Speak now or forever hold your peace. What will we do for our children? What will we say when all we leave is an earth in pieces, no longer home, no longer habitable? We have killed our home. Humble the hubris of business, silence the marketeers, allow our expiring words to become home. Might we still just manage a legacy, a living, breathing, bounteous home? So mindfulness can throw up many challenges, and running on automatic is the one challenge that we face directly, all of us. How often do we drive to a regular location and can't remember how we got there, can't remember what we saw on the drive, can't remember or think about what was going on when we got there? We did it on automatic pilot. And if you think about it, when you make a cup of tea, when you put things in the washing machine, when you take a shower or a bath, are you doing on automatic pilot? And the answer probably, for most of us, including myself and my husband, who's also a mindfulness practitioner, the answer is probably yes. So mindfulness is the complete opposite of lack of awareness. We could call it mindlessness without it being a derogatory term. So basically what happens is we're sleepwalking through our life and we're missing the large majority of it as a consequence. If we're not aware of our lives, then we're not actually experiencing them, we're not living them, we're just enduring them, perhaps is the right word to say. And one of the gifts of the sea, the ocean, is a sea mist, because it makes everything stop. And so this is a poem I wrote about it called Lessons from the Sea Mist. The mist settled upon our shores, slipping into spaces we don't usually notice. The gaps between that seemingly create separation. The mist creates a unity, a oneness, as we slowly make our way, uncertain in our steps, forwards into the unknown, the unseen. This is how we should always live life, carefully, mindfully, lovingly, fully conscious of each and every step we make, of how it will end up, where it will lead us, and will we hurt someone else? The mist will soon lift. Human confidence marches ahead once more. Will the gift of this lesson be recognised? Will the illusion of clear vision allow so many to still walk blindly into the future, to do so much harm whilst being so unaware? Can we all learn to walk mindfully, thinking each step lovingly? Can we learn there is always a mist around us, even when it is unseen? When it happens that I'm not able to get into the sea, which is my preferred location for swimming, for a few days or sometimes weeks because it's just too stormy or too wild, or the timing doesn't fit in with my own personal timetable and my own availability, when I come to the pool, and then I can suddenly find a slot where I can get back into the sea again. It's magical, that feeling of, I love the pool, I'm grateful for the pool, it's a wonderful resource to have and I support it wholeheartedly. But to get back into the sea, it's that magical, mystical feeling of merging once again with the powers of nature, if you like, and the natural world around us. And surprise, surprise, I have a poem about that too. The ocean is my salvation. When I'm feeling lost and confused, a little rattled by the life that we live, and as much as I sieve through my thoughts and give attention to my mind, I still find I must dig in soil or walk in the ocean. It cleanses my aura and feeds my soul. The smell of salt, the spray on a wild, windy day, takes all my negativity away. Right now it's dark, insomnia is here. A regular, a time to park my thoughts and allow creativity to flow. But really, I just want to go to the beach and reach deep inside my sanctuary on the tide, to find my sanctuary on the tide. The ebb and flow is just like life. Struggle and strive come and go, mixed with joy, holding your hand, walking together along the strand. These simple moments are the best when my frantic mind is at rest and I feel the pulse and heartbeat of nature among the trees, and I can clearly see this moment. Then there is the real winter swimming, when it's really cold and people do not mostly even want to go outside, let alone strip off and go back into cold water. Why do we do it? Especially when we're not wearing wetsuits or cold suits or whatever, dry suits. It's not cool, refreshing water, but shockingly cold. Winter swimming is one of those glorious moments, and I've got a poem here about it that helps you to understand perhaps my experience of it. Winter swimming. Neoprene socks make entry into the winter ocean easier. The cold hits later, but your body already knows it is good. Sea swimming all year round. Wade right in, do not hesitate, do not think it will be cold on your skin, do not consider changing your mind, there are others to bear witness. Take that plunge and be exhilarated. It is a state of mind, an attitude. The cold is your friend. It numbs your surface quickly enough, and then you are at one with the water. Let it slip over your surface as you pace yourself, swim to keep warm, knowing it won't work, just timing for leaving the water before hypothermia sets in around 14. Swimming against that. Fight between you and the cold. You must yield in time when you know it is enough. Acclimatization, the shock to body and brain, the mind over matter, determination, a slow building of confidence, a real journey of self-discovery. And afterwards, it feels like heaven. Core slowly heating you up again, and your need for warm activity, hot drinks, all so comforting and communal. We may not share lives or points of view. We may not share politics or religions. We may be disparate beings, except in one sense. We all like winter sea dipping. In that we are united. The good thing about swimming in the water in the very cold is that it's actually good for our immune systems. Funnily enough, instead of making you get chills and things, which some people have said to me, oh, don't you get chills, aren't you vulnerable to things? I actually find, no, I don't. So swimming in the water in the cold is actually beneficial on so many different levels. Now, mindfulness, getting back to mindfulness again, mindfulness is all about using the breath, and swimming is very breath focused as well. So when we're swimming, if we're going to swim very well, I don't swim, I swim frog stroke, which is like this. Like frogs do. If you have noticed, you always have a breath. You're either in the middle of an in-breath or the out-breath, or in the middle, in the space between the breaths, but you've always got a breath going on. And if you use breath as an anchor for your mindfulness, you can take it wherever you want. And the other thing is that if you've got your head down in the water, you can just be mindful, of course, but you're not enjoying the scenery. I went swimming in a lake recently, actually, a couple of weeks ago, in a lake in South London, a freshwater lake, and there were ducks and geese and coots and moorhens swimming on it, and there were some late season young ones, and it was quite funny because we were swimming around the lake circuit, and every so often a baby duckling, or well, teenage duckling probably, or coot, would dive under and then come up quite close to us and take a good look at us and then swim off again really quickly, and it was really fun. And if I'd had my head down, I probably wouldn't have noticed that. So there are benefits to swimming frog style with your head up. And just having Canada geese and mallards and coots and moorhens around you is just fun as well, being on the same level as them, because you're not often at eye level space with these birds. You're normally looking down on them or whatever. So mindfulness is really a process of letting go. It's a process of being with what is. It means letting go of your plans, your judgments, your likes and dislikes, your tough and disquieting emotions, letting go of all that troubles you from the inside so that you can develop a more positive relationship with your own life as it is. We've all got challenges in our life, but if we see them as problems or negative things, we actually undermine our own ability to cope with them and our own ability to make a positive out of our life experience. Our lives are all utterly different from each other, but swimming can be one of those things that brings people together, regardless, as I said before, of everything else. And mindful acceptance of our lot is the way towards inner peace. For me, swimming is a wonderful additional layer to that. I don't like having arthritis. I don't particularly like getting older. But there are benefits to getting older that I wouldn't wish to be without. So I don't want to go back. I don't want to be younger. I don't want to have a younger body if that means I've got to go through all that again, if that makes sense. But what I do enjoy is celebrating and making the most of my body as it is. And mindful acceptance of our lot really is the way to inner peace. Swimming is the wonderful additional layer of building upon that and enabling me to keep my body fit and have a good relationship with it. And sometimes just coming out of the water and being on the beach afterwards is equally delicious. One of the most memorable times I had swimming at freshwater was a time when David was waiting, my husband David was waiting for me at the edge, keeping my eyes on the land, making sure I don't go under or drown or anything terrible. And we had a wonderful, rather wonderful conversation afterwards. It was just after some dolphins had been seen just off Freshwater Beach. So this poem is called Waiting for Dolphins at Freshwater Bay. I waded in, a smoothing swim to finish a heated day, and swam the width of the bay. Then came to sit and watch with you, my soulmate. We watched other swimmers, some alone, others in groups or pairs, some courageous swimming out to the buoys, others staying close, never leaving their depth. It's still so hot, balmy breeze running fingers across my skin, drying the sea, leaving the salt in small lines drawn white lying across my arms. I wish we could see dolphins here tonight. They've been reported along the coast. Wouldn't that be perfect, you said. We sit and wait a little longer, watching the horizon, watching a kayaker move swiftly through the water out along the coastline, already smaller in the distance. A few seagulls bob on the waves, floating on the diamond sparkled swell, small waves smoothly washing the shoreline, refracting the sinking sunlight. A sigh from you, a shrug from myself. There are no dolphins here, no much sought after sighting for us today. I remember the day the seals came, watching us from the outer edges behind the rocks, submerging and emerging in rotation, keeping an eye on us as we keep an eye on them, safe and seated on the sand and paddling in the shallows. These wild creatures, loved, respected, allowed to live in peace. I remember swimming with dolphins in Kaikoura, each of us surrounded, circled by many creatures watching us with their clear, seeing eyes. I met their eyes and felt their souls, their freedom, their curiosity, their wildness. I felt nothing but love. We stand and depart slowly. We will be back. So that's about me done, really. I hope I've said something that's been of interest, and I hope some of my poems have been acceptable to you. And thank you for listening very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much, Sylvia. That was brilliant.